under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Take a roll call, please.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Teesort?
Here.
Mrs. Detzel? Here. Mr. Yoshimura?
Here.
Great. First up on our agenda is legislative update.
So the House Finance Committee accepted a substitute version of House Bill 110, which makes appropriations for fiscal years 2022-23. This is a substitute version of the bill, which includes the Fair School Funding Plan with some modifications and additional education-related changes. A few weeks back, Governor DeWine signed into law Senate Bill 18. The bill expressly incorporates changes in the Internal Revenue Code into Ohio law as it relates to changes in federal adjusted gross income that impact school districts that levy income taxes. I think that's something that perhaps Todd or Amy might be able to elaborate more on what that really means.
Which one was it?
Senate Bill 18.
Senate Bill 18.
To be honest with you, since we do not have a school income tax, I haven't really kept on it, but it's probably to
Harrison.
Oh, I'm sorry.
whatever
Yeah.
effects of
Right.
the federal income tax or state income tax changes were. It would also roll into the gross income for a school district and the amount of income tax that they were collecting if they're on a full income tax or an earned income tax.
Okay.
So it's just putting it across the board.
Right. So that would just apply if we ever decided to go down the road.
Correct, but we currently do not have any.
Right. Okay. That's all I have to report tonight.
Anything else, Tom?
No, I appreciate Pam and Matt sat in with Senator Blessing. We had 18 school districts sit in. He just tried to calm some fears and said that the Senate will have their version of the plan coming out about June 5th, and that he thought it was very favorable for how funding would change for Northwest Local School District, and so we're just looking forward to that and seeing what they would cover. So he could not let a lot out, but he did say that it would cover some of the charter school funding, some of the Ed Choice funding, but it's still just wait and see what could be there and that equity issues would be addressed. So looking very forward with that, but I know he has kept lines of communication open with myself and he has addressed any issues we have. And he also said after the funding plan from the Senate is released that he would address our committee again. So
When did he say that was going to happen?
June 5th,
June 5th?
that
So
week.
That's when they'll start discussing it, or it'll be,
That's when they'll roll out their plan from the Senate version after they see the House.
and when they, after they roll that out, then how long do they have to vote on that?
He thought it would be pretty quick, about the next week or so.
Oh, okay, okay.
It'll go to the conference committee, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Senate, and then after the conference committee, then they'll, the governor take action, and hopefully by June 30th. So remember, the last biennial budget didn't get passed until mid-July, which is supposed to start July 1. So hopefully they'll get it done before June 30th. But as Todd said, it's not coming out of the Senate until June, and then it still has to go to the conference committee and then be approved by the governor.
Should.
One thing Senator Blessing did also say at that meeting, if I recall, was regarding Ed Choice going forwards, that it would be state funded. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. So that was something else.
Anything else? Okay, that takes us to 8.2, Student Achievement Liaison Report.
Very excited that we're going to have a in-person report here. Kevin Gale from Montford Heights will introduce our program.
White Oak Middle.
Or White Oak, oh my goodness, sorry.
Alfred Heights used to be.
And you know what, and I'm staring right at that and I know that. That's right, you were at Montford Heights
Well,
first.
it's mostly in person, but we're going to have a whole bunch of our students and one staff member join us here on video in just a minute. But I'm here tonight to just kind of talk about, it's been a challenging year for our students and our staff, but we have managed to make the best of it. with some of our after-school activities, some extracurricular. Not only have we had our full complement of athletics that have gone forth this year successfully, track's wrapping up in the next couple of weeks. We also offer sometimes I call them the best-known, best-kept secrets at White Oak. Extracurriculars like Drama Club, which unfortunately we weren't able to do this year, but we have a production plan for next year, which we're really looking forward to. FEA, which is our future educators. They also couldn't meet this year, but they're going to next year. They're already planning. Student Council was able to meet virtually and do some community service and do some school spirit stuff, even despite our COVID restrictions and not being able to have full school assemblies or pep assemblies. We've had our music club and our music organizations that have kicked back up their second half of the year. So with some safety protocols and procedures, we've been able to do that, as well as our after-school music club. So we're looking forward to some performances there at the Coleraine Park later this spring. So we're really looking forward to that on Sunday in May. Science Club, we're looking forward to that next year, starting up, doing some STEM and STEAM activities with our students and offering that. And then what I want to focus on tonight is Power the Pen. And Power the Pen, I know, Pam, you've talked about the quiz team at the high school, and I know they've got some recognition recently. A lot of these kids go on from Power the Pen at the middle school level, and then they compete on the quiz team at high school. So I'm going to turn it over now. There's a video here. Melissa Griley, a 7th grade language arts teacher at White Oak Middle School. She's been our sponsor for Power the Pen as long as I've been there. And so I'll let her turn it over to her, and she's got some of the students there, and then I'll be back to answer any questions after the video's done.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you about a really great thing going on at White Oak Middle School, and it is our Power of the Pen writing team. My name is Melissa Griley, and I am an English language arts teacher at White Oak Middle School, and I've had the pleasure to coach the Power of the Pen team for the last 6 years. And I can't wait to tell you about some of the wonderful things that we've accomplished this season. So to get started, I wanted to read to you the Power of the Pen mission statement. And Power of the Pen believes in empowering young people to find and develop a creative voice that is uniquely their own by engaging students in interscholastic writing tournaments and providing a platform for publication. So Power of the Pen hosts 3 tournaments each year for writers, and then at the end of the season, they compile the best of the best pieces as determined by the judges, and then they push those and students can see their work in published format, which is a really exciting thing for student writers. There's some pictures here on the screen of some of our Power the Pen writers during a practice. And we've been able to practice social distancing and have our writing practices. And we've also been able to take part in the tournaments because Power the Pen has hosted them virtually. There's 2 pieces of student writing on the screen right now. And these 2 pieces are lists of things that student writers love about being part of Power of the Pen. And some of the ones that really touched me the most were students talking about it's a place they can feel safe, it's a place where they express themselves, and it's a place where they can feel brave. I absolutely love being a part of that. Before we talk a little bit more about this season, I just wanted to tell you that Power of the Pen started in 1986, and Lorraine Merrill, an English teacher, she started asking some questions, and they were pretty good questions. She said, why does every school have a basketball team, a wrestling team, a baseball team, a football team, but not a writing team? And she decided to change this. So she created Power of the Pen, which gives writers a season of interscholastic writing events. And there are regional competitions and a state competition to measure the art of written expression. And thanks to Lorraine Merrill, this program has grown, and it includes over 1,000 writers now in the state of Ohio. So these are the writers that are very special to me because this is our Power of the Pen White Oak team this year. And the team is composed of 7th and 8th grade writers. And what is really neat about it is that a lot of times these are students who maybe didn't know each other until they joined Power the Pen, and they were able to form relationships and friendships with like-minded creative individuals at White Oak. And I love just looking at their smiling faces in these pictures. There's just so much energy getting to be their coach, and so much creativity and so much talent. So this year, we were able to participate in our district tournament, and that was hosted by Little Miami Middle School, and it was online. And so at a tournament, the students, they write 3 different rounds, and each round is 40 minutes. And at the beginning of each round, they're given a writing prompt that they don't know what it's going to be until that moment, and they're asked to create an original piece of writing, an original story. And as I said, they have 40 minutes to do that, which is really difficult. And these writers come up with the most creative and engaging pieces. I don't know how they do it. And I don't think I would be able to do it at their age. They're so talented. This is Layla Klotz. She is an 8th grade writer this year, and she came in 4th overall and in our regional tournament. And that was quite an accomplishment. In total, we had 5 writers that advanced to the next round, and that's the regional tournament. And that tournament was hosted virtually by Wyoming Middle School. And after that tournament, we found out some great news that Olivia Hoyes, grade 8, that she qualified for the state tournament. And it will be online this year. It's hosted by Otterbein University, and Olivia will take part in that in May. Normally, well, up until this year, Worcester College had hosted, but Otterbein is the new host. I wanted to take a moment to show you some pictures from past seasons prior to the pandemic where we could compete in person. These are some past teams here. You'll probably recognize Layla there. She's holding a trophy. That was her first year as a Power of the Pen writer, and she came in 2nd overall, which is just quite an accomplishment for a first-year writer. You can see the smiles. You can see how proud these writers are of themselves. And the pictures with the medals and tournaments are taken after the award ceremony. And it is something that is really special to hear people cheering and yelling and high-fiving for writing. And to see kids get so competitive about doing their best with creative writing. I love to be a part of it. Then these are some pictures from the past state tournaments that our writers have qualified for. It normally takes place at the College of Worcester, and the kids who qualify, they get to ride up on a Thursday, and then they stay the night in a dorm room, and which is a really exciting experience for them. They get to eat in the cafeteria, they attend some different activities that Power of the Pen has set up for them. And it's just a really special experience for them. We get to walk around the campus, we talk about their future and where they want to go to college, and how they can make writing part of their own future. There's a lot of pride in the faces of these students. And it's so much fun to be their coach and to be part of oftentimes the first time they visited a college campus before. So we have a few students who wanted to share with all of you their feelings about Power of the Pen. And our first student is Lillian Hodge. She's in the 7th grade, and she wanted to talk to you about how Power of the Pen helped her feel more confident.
Hi, my name is Lily, and I've been in the Power of the Pen for 1 year, and I think it's good because it gave me like another creative rather than just like art or drawing, and it's impacted my life because I think I've become a more relaxed person because the prompts and the writing help me clear my head a little, help me clear my head a little bit, and I think Wellens needs a Power of the Pen team because it helps with open-ended questions like in school because the helped me with like general writing. My LA teacher gave me a compliment because I learned how to like use sensory details.
And then this is Julia Hoyt. She was able to be part of Power of the Pen. She was an in-person student, and then she also was an RLA student and still could take part.
Something that helped me grow as a writer was when I was going through a lot with my family, writing my feelings on a piece of paper in a notebook, a journal, or a diary, or something like that. It was just like something that would help me. Like it was like a weight taken off of my shoulders. It just made me feel much better. Like when there was nobody to talk to, that's where I knew I could go to put my feelings down. And since then, I've just always progressed as a writer, joining a writing team and just going along with it, knowing that that's something I could really see myself doing in the future, and that's something I want to do now.
And then next we have Angel Danforth, and she is in grade 7 as well. Next year.
The reason why I'm trying out for the pen next year is also because I've always wanted to write since I was little, and I've always wrote little stories when I was younger, and so I just want to pursue that dream, I guess.
And then Lily Wethington, she was another one of our 7th grade writers.
Power of the Pen has a positive effect on me. It has totally helped me in LA. I am able to just write stories 100% better. I have grown a bigger imagination and complex in writing multiple things. It could be from the smallest things to the biggest things, and it's just a great effect on my grades and a bunch of other things.
Then you'll recognize Olivia Hoy. She was our state qualifier.
I think the person who should try out, or the type of people that should try Power of the Pen are most likely the like quiet kids, I guess, because they always seem like they have this going on in their heads, and I feel like it would be really cool if you put a lot of those ideas out on paper.
And then below is Adriana Mayfield. This is her 2nd year as a writer for Power of the Pen.
My favorite part about Power of the Pen was meeting like a lot of new people that aren't just in my grade, but like in grades lower, and just kind of connecting with them through writing.
And I love how she does talk about connecting with each other through writing.
My favorite.
And then finally, we have Daniel Schwetman, grade 7.
Power of the Pen is a great club because it can be writing in what seems like no time at all. Power of the Pen has impacted my life because from now on, everything that I ever write will sound much better than if I hadn't attended Power of the Pen.
And then this is Morgan Heinrich. This is her 2nd year as a Power of the Pen writer.
Power of the Pen gave me a place to go when I wasn't interested in all the sports and things. It gave me a place where I could grow as a creative writer.
This was a collage that the student writers put together at their last practice to kind of express how they feel about Power of the Pen. And I love to see relationships and hope, creativity, self-esteem, ideas, encouragement. These are all the reasons I love to coach Power of the Pen. I love teaching 7th grade LA, and getting to be a part of the Power of the Pen team just even adds to that. It energizes me, and I feel like I'm really lucky to get to be around those students during the season. So thank you so much for learning about Power of the Pen. We invite any of you, if you'd ever like to sit in on a practice or come to an awards ceremony, I'd love to show off my students' talent, and I know that they would love to share their writing with all of you. Again, thank you so much for learning all about White Oak Middle School's Power of the Pen team. Good night.
So lots of great stuff going on. Kind of best kept secret. Do you have any questions or anything?
I just have one comment. Congratulations, this is a great program, and you should be very proud of those kids.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate and wish Olivia good luck at the state, and hopefully maybe the end of the year or something we could get her in to just let us, tell us how she did and what her experience was. But just a great job with all the kids and their involvement, and I hope that the 7th graders by next year will get to experience going back to a college campus and spending the night. And I know White Oak has a tradition of having Power of the Pen competitors at the state level. So thank you very much for presenting.
Good job.
Thank you.
Kevin, I just want to say, well, congratulations to Layla and Olivia, as Pam said. My son was in Power of the Pen, and it was a great outlet for him. I love the fact that as we put together this portrait of a graduate for our district, this fits in perfectly. And it also gives an outlet for the kids that are not interested in athletics or some of these other extracurriculars to develop the relationships like they're developing here, which is critical, I think, for the overall success of their academic career. So thank you, and I love seeing how passionate leaders of these organizations are. That's just refreshing, especially the season that we've been through.
Yeah, it is neat to see, that they function as an athletic team would, and they cheer for each other, and it's really a neat dynamic that they have going on. So thanks for supporting that work, and thanks to the DAO team for making sure that those kind of things continue to move on. Even despite COVID, we were able to have a great season. So.
If there's any way we can support you in some different way, don't hesitate to let us know.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Yeah, what's that up?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Any reports from any employee organizations?
None.
Community communications?
We've received it.
And that takes us to 11.1, the adoption of superintendent consent items.
Okay, for adoption of superintendent consent items, we have personnel items, which are retirements, resignations, and new hires. For vendor contracts, all were budgeted for. Some are from grants, some are paid from federal items, but everything that was budgeted for, they came out of the general fund, as I said, were budgeted for. Donations, we had assorted donations that included materials for orchestra at Corey Middle School and books for White Oak Middle School and hand sanitizer. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the superintendent's consent items as listed.
So moved.
I want to make a comment. Mark? Sure. Yeah, I just want to make one comment on the appointment of Scott Kerr. I totally endorse the confirmation of Scott as the head coach at Coleraine High School. I've known Scott for eons, 26 years as varsity rep. I had his games at Purcell Marion and at GCL. He was a very enthusiastic and at times very fiery. Of course, then I'm on the court, and that would give a coach cause to be fiery. But I think the team is going to be in good hands. The program's going to be in good hands with Scott. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Joe. I had a question for Todd. You kind of already answered part of it with Mr. Kerr being the the head coach at Corwin High School. Is there any additional support that he's going to need? And I ask that because, not to discount the other sports at Coleraine or even Northwest High School that might have had turnover over the last few years, but it seems the head coach for basketball at Coleraine, that we've been through a few coaches in recent years. And I just hope that he's successful in developing a successful and competitive program.
Yeah, so he'll get choice of assistants. Hopefully we get assistants that can work in the building, help stay on top of kids' grades, recruiting, getting kids out to play. He currently is a teacher in another district, has way too many years of teaching experience to come to our district. Just can't match the pay that way. So we will put as many supports in as we can. So just been a strange transaction of events that have led to him being our third coach in the last 3 or 4 years.
And just another comment on the, I believe on the vendor contracts, because I noticed we have Corwin High School for their prom at Coney Island, but Northwest High School is having their prom, but they're doing their own thing, right?
Yes, so what question?
That Northwest High School parents are doing their own thing for their prom. So that's why we don't have anything for Northwest High School prom.
Yes, okay, so clarification there. Governor DeWine had not give clear expectations or clarification of what school districts were allowed to do. So the boosters and PTA at Northwest High School went out on their own and decided to have a prom for the students. And Coleraine High School decided to wait until clarification came. So the parents went ahead and rented a venue and put on a nice prom for the kids. And once we found out that both schools were allowed to have proms and what you were allowed to do, Mr. Pollitt then met with the boosters and the PTA at Northwest High School. They said they did not want to merge or work together, that they were going to have their own prom. Everything was already paid for and set up in advance. So Joe then met with the senior class, and they said they would rather keep it that way because they didn't want to divide the class and have 2 separate events, so they kept one event. So the senior class chose to have other events that circled around prom. So yes, Northwest parents are sponsoring their prom, but Coleraine High School is in fact sponsoring their prom and using their senior class monies to pay for their event at their venue. And so that's why you see one here for them and not for Northwest High School.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Take a vote. That passes 5-0. Next are adoption of fiscal consent items.
Yes, so for the fiscal consent items, we first asked to dispense with reading of and approve the March 22nd regular meeting and the April 12th work session minutes that are listed, as well as 8 then and now certifications that were over $3,000, so that we can get those paid. Those were for various things, including our non-public schools invoices with the Hamilton County EFC, similar to what we discussed at the last meeting, and tuition payments, as well as nursing staff, which is paid out of our ESSER funds for our isolation rooms and some pool rental for the high school, Coleraine High School athletics. And finally, that the choral department at WAMS is asking us to kind of merge the tribal tones and the choral department together and move the monies from the tribal tones fund into the chorus fund and keep it all together. So with that, I ask the board to approve the fiscal consent items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? And fiscal consent items pass 5-0. Next is the curriculum instruction student fees for 21-22 school year.
Yes, so there are proposed student fees for the 2021-2022 school year. So you will find the proposed student fees. This is being provided for information tonight only and will be brought back to the board for the main meeting. What you'll find is the curriculum department carefully reviewed every fee with the building principals and teachers with the goal of eliminating print items that are no longer necessary due to improved digital resources or resources that can be funded in an alternative way. At the elementary level, the fee for the scholastic resources was removed. This resource will continue to be provided but funded in an alternate way. At the middle school level, we removed the fee for paper planners, student sync workbooks, calculators, and the Spanish 1 workbooks. And at the high school level, we removed the fee for Spanish workbooks and some of the AP workbooks in favor of other high-quality digital resources. The technology fee was increased for students in grades 2 through 12, but now, in addition to receiving a device, the fees also includes a protective case, allowing the device to continue to be used at home as well as in school, a set of headphones, and one free accidental damage per year. So this is for information tonight. If you look it over or get any comments and you have any questions, Brenda Miller is here tonight and will be available for any questions prior to the next board meeting when we put it for a vote.
How are collections for the fees going this year with everything that's going on?
It's always a challenge
Sure.
for us to collect fees. Obviously, we recognize the unique economic situations and families are facing with the pandemic, but we continue to work to collect fees. This year, we eliminated a number of fees that were proposed and approved for last year. For example, science labs completely removed the fees because our kids just really couldn't do a lot of the things that they've done in the past with hands-on science due to the pandemic. So, Mark, it's something we continually work at, try to bring down the cost, particularly this year, knowing the situation of our community. There's just some things that our students and our teachers need, and so we want to make sure that we keep those items on the list.
Is there any monies out there, grants or anything for districts or parents that may have came into, this season that we're coming through that would be a support to them? Have you heard of anything like that or anything?
So not formally, there are certainly very generous people in our community who continue to find ways to support families,
Sure.
students and families that can't pay their fees. But it's something that students who are eligible for fee waivers because of their economic situation, we are able to waive all of their instructional fees. So that happens behind the scenes every year.
Sure.
For families.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Todd, your update?
Yes. So I wanted to provide an update on both high school graduations. Both high school graduations will be outdoors this year. We did have rental agreements with Millett Hall, and they are allowing graduation to be held at Millett Hall. But they have limited it to 200 total graduates on the floor. The problem with that is Northwest High School has 235 total graduates, and out of the 235, 210 have chosen to participate. The other 25 have chosen to do the personal ceremonies in the auditorium where they will walk across the stage, have their name introduced because of COVID concerns, and have family in the auditorium. So with that 210, we would have to pay double the price to have two ceremonies. Plus, Millett is not allowing a band or chorus to be on the floor with them, and they have limited seating in the stands. Coleraine High School was also allowed to have graduation there, but they have 475. So they could not use Millett Hall either. Out of their 475, 395 have chosen to walk. So with that being said, both high schools are going to do outdoor. Northwest High School surveyed parents and students at about a 75% rate return. The survey that said they were fine with graduating at Coleraine High School because that way they could have more tickets to the graduation ceremony. So Northwest High School and Coleraine High School will both be using Coleraine High School Stadium to graduate. Northwest High School will get 6 tickets per graduate for the graduation because they have 210. Coleraine High School will get about 4 tickets per graduate because they have a larger number of 400. We are using every bit of space we can. Both plans for both high schools have been approved by the Hamilton County Health Department. Remember that capacity for outdoor stadiums is 30%. So we're in pretty good shape there and feel pretty good about what's going on. The dates for the ceremonies, and I put this out to the board, but I'll let the public know. For Northwest High School, it's Saturday the 15th. I'm waiting for a final time. I believe it's going to be 1 o'clock. The rain date is Sunday the 16th. If it would happen to rain both days, we would move to a weeknight that next week. And that's yet to be determined. Coleraine High School will be the next week. It is Saturday the 22nd. That time is yet to be determined because they pre-scheduled a golf outing for Coleraine High School boosters. So that's going to be more around 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock. So we're waiting to see what time that is. Their rain date is Sunday the 23rd. If it would rain both days, they would move it to the next weeknight also. So I wanted to make sure that everyone had those. So more information will be coming out from Joe Collett at Northwest High School and Jack Fisher at Coleraine High School. Any questions about graduation? I think it'll be pretty nice. They will have students on one end of the field spaced out. They will have to keep the 6 feet spacing until Governor DeWine changes that. Now, CDC has said 3 feet spacing is fine in classrooms and everything else, but they have not yet changed the orders for outdoor seating at football stadiums. So 6 feet is what it will be for now. So one end, you will have the kids in their lines sitting. The other end, they'll have some seating for parents, and then on both sides of the stadium. And then we'll have chorus and band. So
With the weather we're having, keep the snow blowers and the grass.
Yeah,
and lawnmowers,
that's true.
Crazy.
Be covered.
One thing I wanted to bring to your attention that I think is a pretty big deal that we're going to start doing, and we talked about it at our last work session, is we are starting our Master Facility District Visioning Planning. And I think that's a big deal for our district. And my main plea is that we need our stakeholders to be a big part of this planning in this process. I wanted to remind our stakeholders that in 2019-2020, Northwest Local School District rolled out its strategic plan. Its implementation is the vision for the Northwest Local School Districts tomorrow. If you haven't noticed, I'd like everybody to see on TV at home that our vision and mission statement have been put up here. I think Lindsay did an excellent job of putting our new signs up here and making sure that our vision and mission is a part of everybody's visual perception at every board meeting. It'll also be in our schools. But what our community asked us to do is identify and implement opportunities for stakeholders to be heard, involved, and engaged. And this is the perfect opportunity for our stakeholders to do this. To create a school system that meets our community's needs, to create a transparent communication plan, and we committed to establishing a sustained commitment to people, initiatives, and plans, and we called this the culture of trust. And our community asked us to encourage continuous two-way communication in our community surrounding how our schools are funded, how funds are spent, and what is needed to provide educational services. It's going to be very important that our stakeholders participate in this, help us determine what funding is needed, how our schools will look. If you remember, we built 3 new elementary schools, and then we talked to our community about what would happen to the K-8 campus at Coleraine Elementary. What needs to be the future of our 2 high schools? What needs to be the future of our district? And we need the input from our community. With Mofford Heights bonds rolling off, what will the future look like for that? So we have a lot of work to do, but we can't do it with a small group of people. We need a lot of people in our community that needs to be a big part of this, and we need their voice to be heard. Our community also asked to align district resources with instructional priorities, and Amy is very good at this. She will align what bonds we have coming off. She is constantly telling us in our 5-year forecast what funding we have available, and then we can start talking to the Board of Education about what bond issues or what levies in the future need to come to the forefront in order for us to do all this. So I cannot tell you how big of a relationship this partnership is with our stakeholders, and this is going to be very important as we move forward in this district. And then lastly, partner with the community to develop a transparent funding cycle, financial stability. Do we want to, as an educational community, stay at the bottom per spending per pupil in this community, or does our district want more? Do we want to pass levies and know that when we pass it, we're not getting more for our students? What is the direction that they want to go? What do we want for our kids? What do we want for our district? So as we take the first steps in vision casting for our future, it's important not only to look at our strategic plan, but our commitment to educating tomorrow's leaders today. As we approach vision casting for the district's facility plans, we do so with the understanding that we are preparing our students to be future leaders. Doing that requires foresight, preparation, and collaboration with all of our district stakeholders. The steps that Northwest Local School District is taking directly align with the feedback that our community shared and is represented in the strategic plan. Our goal is to understand what our stakeholders envision, desire, and what plans they are willing to support financially. So I cannot express how important this is to all the board members to hear your voice, to listen to what you have to say, but that starts with you coming to the meetings when we set them up, whether they're in person or via Zoom. We'll try to make them flexible so that our stakeholders can be at the meetings, but the board just needs to hear from you. We need you to show up to meetings, express your concerns, express what you want for your kids, express what you want for your community, because that's why the board's here, to listen, establish policies, and then vote based on what they hear from you. And they can't do this unless they do hear from you. We can't have small committees and make these large decisions. So we're headed in a great direction with our portrait of a graduate, getting our students in the right direction academically, and then being fiscally responsible, getting the facilities that our kids need. So we had a great work session the other day. We're headed in a great direction. So just want to build upon that and just want to express that to our community. So really looking forward to what we're doing. But this facilities master plan is a really big, important thing for our community, and just want everybody to be aware. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, that takes us to board member comments. Joe?
No, nothing today.
No comments. Jim?
No, don't give anything either.
Just a couple things. One, I just want to, once again, thank Kevin Gale here presenting for White Oak Middle School. It was great to hear from the students. I look forward to the day that we get to see them in here and we don't have to worry about being so spaced apart, but just to hear from the students directly is just, for me, it just reminds all of us why we're here. I know Karen Grayson, Brenda Miller working hard to work with our building principals, and we've kind of got a lineup now, so we're going to see more of these on a regular basis. So excited about that. And then I would just like to say, I know for the seniors, it's been hard. There's been a lot of things that haven't been normal for all of us, but for when you're a kid and you're especially a senior, it's your senior year, it's got to be difficult. I still feel so bad for the way school ended abruptly last year, none of us knowing that we'd be living through a pandemic. But I want to wish all the seniors the best of luck. I want them all to enjoy their senior proms, whether it's put on by their senior class, whether it's put on by a group of parents. This is a special night. I encourage you all to be safe, be smart, but have a wonderful time. And thank everybody who's working so hard behind the scenes to make sure both of these proms become the night that all of you have been thinking about. So be safe and have a wonderful time.
Thank you, Ben.
Well, Pam kind of stole part of what I was going to say. I just want to reiterate that, I wish the seniors, I believe both proms are this coming Saturday, if I have the dates correct.
Sunday the 29th and Northwest. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Well, either way, both proms are coming up shortly, and I just want to wish them to have a safe and memorable prom. Only want to hear about what a great time they had, and not hear any tragic stories in probably the day. So that's all I have.
Sure,
Thank you.
I just want to say, I want to thank the educators for being flexible. Just a couple years ago, we had a lot of controversy about graduation as far as, what's acceptable at a graduation. And, we came into a pandemic where it's questionable whether we were even going to have a graduation. And so I think the perspective on a lot of this has changed. And I'm very thankful for the flexibility that Jack and Joe have had as far as offering different levels of how they want to graduate, what fits best and what's safest for them. That's an additional work, and historically we know that being regimented and keeping things structured is best for the masses, but to have this flexibility, I just want to say thank you for doing that. Finish strong, seniors. I think things are starting to kind of turn a corner. I think things are looking more similar to how it used to be. Like Pam was saying, it's great to see the power of the pen and see the kids engaging. And I was on the Portrait of a Graduate committee, and that committee is very exciting, and I encourage our community to jump in and start helping steer our district in the direction that you would see fit, that you think it needs to be. Community engagement is critical, as Todd was saying. And with that, that's all I have.
The next is executive session. The board will approve a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the motion to move into executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We will go to executive session. We will come back and adjourn the meeting. There will be no other discussion other than to adjourn the meeting.